Page 652. 7th. Abu bin Adham woke up at night saw an angel writing in a book The angel said he was writing the names of those who loved God, but Abu's name was not there Abu requested that his name might be written as one who loved his fellow men Angel wrote and disappeared Reappearing next night, he showed Abu the names of those who had won the love of God Abu's name was at the top. Answer. Heading. Abu Adam and the Angel of God. Story. One night, Abu bin Adam woke up from a happy dream and saw a bright angel in the room, writing in a book of gold. Asked what he was writing, the angel said, with a sweet smile, that he was writing the names of those who loved God. Abu inquired if his name was there. The angel replied that it was not in the book. This, however, did not damp Abu's spirits, and he requested the angel cheerily to put him down as one who loved his fellow men. The angel wrote and disappeared with the book. The next night, Abu was again awakened by dazzling light in the room. Opening his eyes, he saw the same angel with the book in his hand, and he was glad beyond measure when the angel showed to him that his name headed the list of those who had won the love of God. Moral of the story: the best way to win the love of God is to love one's fellow men. 8th. A little fish seeing a fly floating under water. A little fish sees a fly floating under water feels tempted to go for it Mother fish warns that it is a bait The little fish thinks of trying if his mother is right plays round about the fly overcome by greed gives a pluck a hook sticks through his gill dies repenting disobedience. Answer. Title. The Foolish Little Fish. Story. One day a little fish saw a fly hanging before his eyes under water. He felt tempted to go for it, but his mother warned him that the fly was only a bait to hide a hook. The foolish little fish thought that he would have a go and see if his mother was right. So he played round about the fly with many a longing, looking at it until his greed got the better of him. He gave a little pluck at the fly just to prove that there was no hook there. At once the hook stuck through his gill. The more he struggled to get free, the more did the hook go through his gill. The foolish fish breathed his last, saying that he would not have died so miserably if only he had obeyed his mother. 9th. One of the shoes of a farmer's horse was without nail The farmer did not consider this of any importance After he had ridden some distance, the shoes came off The horse began to limp Then it broke its leg The farmer lost his ware and the horse. Page 653. Answer. Title. The Importance of Little Things. Story. A farmer saddled his horse to take his wares to market. When about to start, he noticed that one of the horse's shoe was without nails, but he did not consider this was of any importance. After he had gone some distance, the shoes came off. The farmer thought the horse would be able to finish the journey on 3 shoes, but as he rode further on, the animal began to limp on the ground. The farmer now realized his mistake, but there was no blacksmith nearby. So he went on, hoping that the horse would be able to carry him somehow to the marketplace. But alas, that was not to be. The poor animal soon broke its leg and fell down. Not only were the wares broken, but the farmer lost his horse forever for neglecting to nail the shoe in time. 10th. A partridge lived in a wheat field with her younger ones. Dash, the owner of the field came one day with son. Dash, told son to request neighbors for helping in gathering the ripening crop. Dash, the mother bird assured children that they need not fear. Dash, owner and son came a few days afterwards. Dash, found crop overripe. Dash, told son they should have come themselves the next day. Dash, the partridge left the field that day. Answer. Self-help is the best help. Story. A partridge had a nest in a wheat field. In it she had her young ones just old enough to fly. One day the owner of the field came with his son to examine the crop. After seeing the wheat, he said to his son, "The crop is ripening, so go to our neighbors and request them to help us gather the harvest." The younger partridge were very much frightened, but the mother bird told them that one who asked one's friends for help in the harvest could not be in earnest. Really, nobody came to reap the crop for some time. A few days later, the owner came again with his son. Finding the crop overripe, he said to his son that they must come themselves the next day with their own labourers. The partridge felt that the man meant business this time, and so she left the field with her children that very day. 11th. Napoleon preparing to invade England. Dash. A British sailor captured by the France, allowed to roam about on the sea coast opposite England. Dash, got an empty barrel. Dash, made it into a miserable boat to cross over to England. Dash, detected and brought before Napoleon. Dash, said he longed to see his mother. Dash, Napoleon touched. Dash, gave him a gold coin and sent him back to England with a flag of truce. Answer. Napoleon and the British sailor. When Napoleon was gathering his force to invade England, his navy once captured a British seaman. The sailor was allowed to roam about on the shore of France opposite the English coast. One day, an empty barrel came floating to him. He hid it in a cave and, working day and night, made it into a miserable boat to cross over to England. But as he had about to make the attempt, he was detected and brought before Napoleon. The emperor asked him what had inspired him to risk his life in such a boat. The sailor replied that it was the thought of his mother that had led him to it. Touched by his example, Napoleon offered him a piece of gold as a present and sent him back to England in a French ship with a flag of truce. The sailor preserved the gift through all his troubles in life. Page 654. 12th. Socrates was calm by nature. Dash. His wife was of violent temper. Dash. One day his wife abused him loudly. Dash. Socrates bore all calmly, sitting at the doorstep of his house. Dash. More furious, the wife emptied a bucket of water over his head. Dash. Socrates joined with the passer-by in their laughter and remarked, "After thunder comes rain." Answer. Socrates and his calm temper. Socrates, the famous Greek philosopher, was noted as much for his wisdom as for his calmness. His wife, on the contrary, was of a violent temper and flew for his calmness, and flew into passion on the slightest excuse. One day she became more furious than ever and began to abuse her husband in the strongest terms. Socrates, demanded not to be put out, bore all this calmly and sat at the doorstep of his house, looking out on the public street. This calmness and silence of the philosopher made the wife more furious. She took up a bucket of water and poured out its contents over her husband's head. The passers-by on the street felt very much amused at the incident. Socrates joined with them in their laughter and merriment, and remarked, "This was what was expected. After thunder comes rain." B. Bare outlines. In the outline, now we have finished full or detailed outlines. Now we will do bare outlines. 13th. A fox dash, hungry dash, grapes hanging up dash, fox cannot reach them dash, grapes sour. Answer. The fox and the grapes or grapes are sour. Story. A fox once felt very hungry and began to look after for something to eat. After some time, he came to a vineyard laden with ripe grapes. The fox was very much delighted and thought of satisfying his hunger with the grapes. They were, however, too high. The fox stood upon his hind legs but could not reach them. He then took several jumps upward. Still they were beyond his reach. They continued to hang temptingly before his eyes. When the fox at last understood that he could never get at them, he gave up the attempt and went away, trying to console himself with the thought that the grapes were not surely fit to be eaten. They were sour. 14th. Two cats quarrel over a piece of cake. Dash. Monkey becomes the arbitrator. Dash. Eats up the whole cake on the plea of making the parts equal. Answer. Quarreling cats and the monkey judge. Story. One day two cats stole a piece of cake from a house, but they could not agree about the proper division of the spoil. So they went to a monkey to decide the dispute. He brought in a weighing balance and, breaking the piece of cake in two, put them on the two sides of it. As one piece was found to weigh heavier than the other, he took a bite from it on the plea of reducing the weight. But he purposely took a far bigger bite than proper. The result was the piece that was lighter before becoming heavier now. The monkey reduced its size by the same process. In this way, he went on taking bites, now from one piece and then from the other, on the plea of making the parts equal. The cats saw through the game, but dared not say anything. At last, when the cake was almost finished, they gathered courage to ask for return of whatever was left. The monkey, however, claimed it was the price of his labor and put it in his mouth. The cats went away, sad but wise. They realized that it is better to settle quarrels amicably. Page 655. 15th. A noble man builds a grand house, dash, offers it to the first man to prove himself contented, dash, a stranger claims it, dash, nobleman returns him out, dash, if contented, he would not wish for the house. Answer. The test of a contented man. Once upon a time, a nobleman built a grand house. In front of the gate, he wrote the words, "This house is to be given to the first man who can prove himself contented." Shortly after, a stranger came before the nobleman and said, "I claim this house because I can prove that I am a contented person." The nobleman said in reply, I am sorry, I do not find any trace of contentment in you, for if you were really contented, you would not have wished to have this house. So saying, he turned the man out. 16th. A few travellers, tired by long walk in the sun, dash, rest under a banyan tree, dash. One complains the tree does not produce any sweet fruit or flower, dash. Another says it is of no use to man, dash. Tree remarks on man's ungratefulness. Ungratefulness. Answer. Ungrateful travellers. A few men were once going on foot to a distant place. Tired by long walk in the sun, they rested under a big banyan tree on the way. As they talked among themselves, one of the men looked up at the branches overhead and remarked, "How strange this tree is! It is so big and has such thick foliage, yet it has no flower to please the eye or the smell, nor any fruit to please the taste." Another traveller said, "Why speak of flower or fruit only? The banyan tree is of no use whatsoever to man. Really, it is pity that so big a tree should be so useless." The tree overheard the conversation and said with a smile, "This is gratitude indeed. Perhaps the cool shade in which you are resting and refreshing yourself even at the present moment is nothing, a mere illusion." The remark of the tree went home to the travellers, and they hung down their heads in shame. 17th. Chinese Emperor promises to teach rebel subjects a good lesson, dash. Subjects submit, dash. Emperor pardons them and treats them kindly, dash. A courtier reminds him of his promise, dash. Emperor explains, dash. Subjects no longer revolt. Answer. How an emperor wins over his rebel subjects. Once, a rebellion broke out in a part of the Chinese emperor. When the emperor heard of this, he went out personally with a small army to teach the rebels a lesson they would never forget. No sooner did the rebels know of his arrival than they submitted without any fight and threw themselves upon his mercy. The emperor not only pardoned them all, but treated them kindly. Surprised at this generosity, one of the courtiers asked the emperor, "Sir, you promised to teach the rebel a good lesson. Is it the way you keep your word?" The emperor replied smilingly, "Yes, I promised to punish the rebels, but these men are rebels no longer. They are my loyal subjects now, so there cannot be any question of my going against my word." The chief minister added, "Moreover, the rebels have certainly been taught a good lesson, a lesson in royal goodness. Am I sure they will never forget it?" The courtiers bowed down his head and said, "Wise indeed is the emperor, and noble is his decision." Page 656. 18th. A farmer's daughter, going to market with a can of milk on her head, dash, lost in daydreaming, dash, dreams of being very rich, dash, many suitors, dash, rejects them all, dash, nods her head in pride, dash, the result. Answer. A young farmer girl, and what came of her daydreams. Story. A young farmer girl was of a romantic turn of mind, rather given to daydreams. One day she went to market with a can of milk on her head. As she walked on, she gave free play to her romantic ideas. She would accumulate the profit on the sale of her milk every day and buy more and more cows with it. She would soon have a large number of cows, which would give her enough milk to make her rich. She would then build a new house for herself, and her dresses too would be the envy of the neighboring maids. The young men of the locality would now gather round her, suing her for her hand, but she would reject them all as too much beneath her. So lost was the girl in her dream that she actually gave a proud shake of her head to express her rejection. The can on her head fell down at once, spilling all the milk on the ground. The girl got a rude awakening from her foolish dream, and tears began to roll down her cheek. 19th. A crow lived on a tree, a snake lived in a hole at the foot. It ate up the crow's young ones. The crow stole the necklace of the prince. Dropped it into the snake's hole. The king's men found it. Dug into the hole. Snake killed. Answer. A crow revenged herself upon a snake. A snake lived in a hole at the front of a tree. High up on the branches was the nest of a crow with her young ones. The snake used to eat up a young bird every day. The crow at last thought of a plan to get rid of her enemy. She stole the necklace of the prince from the royal palace nearby and dropped it into the snake's hole after scattering a few rubies from it here and there near its mouth. The king was very much agitated at the loss and sent out men to find out the necklace. In course of their search, they noticed the scattered rubies near the hole. As they came to the spot, they saw the necklace inside and dug it out after killing the snake. 20th. Feast in honor of Columbus' discovery. A lord remarks it was simple thing. Others also could do it. Columbus asked all to make an egg stand on an end. All fail. Columbus breaks open an end. The egg stands. Credit lies in showing the way. Answer. Columbus silences the jealous courtiers. It was a grand feast in the royal palace in honor of Columbus for his great discovery. As Columbus narrated his experiences, the Lord listened to him with wonder in their eyes and with occasional exclamation of praise and admiration. This seems too much to one of the lords. Murmuring his jealousy, he asked, "Well, Mr. Columbus, do you think none else could have made the discovery?" Columbus made no reply. He only took up an egg and requested the lords present to make it stand on an end. A strange request indeed. How could an egg be made to stand on an end? When nobody offered to it, Columbus gently tapped one end of the egg on the table and then made it stand on its broken end. Everybody was surprised at this simple solution of what had seemed to be an impossible request. The jealous lord remarked, "Oh, this is a very simple thing. Everybody can do it." "Yes, it is simple, no doubt," replied Columbus, "but nobody thought of it until I had shown the way. Indeed, the credit lies in showing the way." C. Incomplete outlines. 21. Page 657. 21. A crow on a tree. A bit of flesh in her beak. A fox praises her beauty but deplores that she has no voice. This is incomplete outlines. Answer. The vain crow. A crow sat on a tree with a bit of flesh in her beak. A fox saw her and thought of having the flesh. He said, "How beautiful the crow is! How glossy her feathers! But alas, God has given her no voice. It is certainly very cruel of him." The crow was flattered by the praise and gave a loud caw to prove that she had a voice. The flesh dropped from her beak. The fox picked it up and went away saying, "Vain word! Had you been half as wise as you are vain, you would not have lost the flesh." Moral. Vanity leads to misfortune. 22nd. Railway bridge gives way under heavy rains. A boy sees a train approaching. Stands on the line in spite of whistles, waving his shirt. Answer. The brave cowboy. One morning a boy was tending cattle in the field by the side of a railway line. He noticed that a small railway bridge had given way under the previous night's heavy shower. He also saw a passenger train in the distance coming towards it at full speed. A simple cowboy as he was, he at once realized the great danger that awaits the train and its passengers. He ran up to the line and, standing on it, began to wave his shirt as a warning to the driver. The driver thought that this was a mere prank of a village urchin, so the train continued to advance, whistling furiously to scare away the boy. But the boy would not leave his post, so the driver was compelled to stop the train a little distance from the boy. So he and the guard came down. The boy took them to the breach. They now realized that a great danger they had escaped by the boy's action. They thanked him heartily and reported the matter to higher authorities. The railway board thought that the best reward they could offer the boy was to arrange for his free education in a good railway school, and the boy thus grew up to be a good citizen of his country. 23rd. Two men travelling along a country road dash. One picks up a bag containing valuables dash, cries out, "See what I have got dash." Don't say I, say the others. Say we. Owner suddenly appears dash, charges the first man with theft dash. Page 658. Once two friends, Arun and Binoy, were travelling along a country road. Arun saw a bag lying on the road. He picked it up and found that it contained some valuable jewels. Full of joy, he exclaimed, "Well, Binoy, just see what I have got." Binoy remarked that Arun should say we instead of I. Arun refused to admit Binoy's claim. The bag had been picked up by him, so its content belonged to him only. Just then there appeared the real owner of the bag in search of his treasures that had dropped from his horse's back without his knowledge. Finding the bag in Arun's hand, he charged him with theft. Arun pleaded that he was no thief. The bag had been just found by him and his friend. Binoy remarked, "You just now claimed the bag for yourself only. Why then drag me now as a co-sharer? You wanted to enjoy the profit alone. The effect of the claim too you must face alone." So saying, Binoy left the place. Arun was handed over by the owner to the police. 24th. A wolf meets a stout dog dash. Dog speaks highly of his lot dash. Good food and no work except keeping watch at night dash. Wolf sees a mark round the dog's neck dash. Dog explains it to be the mark of the chain dash. Answer. The wolf and the dog. One day a wolf chanced to meet a stout dog. As they fell into conversation, the dog spoke highly of the comforts of his life. He was the pet of his master's family and was well fed and well taken care of. As to work, he had nothing to do except keeping watch at night. The wolf complained that his own lot was quite different. He was never sure of food and had sometimes to go without it for the whole day. This was why he was so ravenous by nature. The dog pitied him with a superior air. Just then the wolf noticed a mark round the dog's neck and inquired what it was. The dog replied that it was the mark of the chain in which he was kept. The wolf said, "So, you are not free at all. Well, I no longer envy you. I prefer my freedom without food 1,000 times to your well-fed and comfortable life of bondage." So saying, the wolf went away.